Hello everyone, remember me? Yeah, I'm the guy who posted those 53 videos about the GDMBR for 2023. And yeah, I just thought I'd make a 54th video as if 53 wasn't enough. Yeah, I just thought this would be a great way to cap off the experience. You know, to maybe share just a few thoughts that I had about the ride in retrospect. But yeah, but before I get into that, I just wanted to thank everybody for your support. I had so many wonderful comments about all the videos, and it was just, you know, I wasn't expecting that much support. And to be honest with you, I wasn't expecting to get as many subscribers as I got. Really, the point of doing the videos was just, you know, as a keepsake for me for later, but also, you know, putting them up on YouTube to share them with friends and family who asked about the ride. And if you've ever done any rides like this, you probably know that it's not just this, it's not an easy question to answer when somebody says, "How was your trip?" Yeah, so, oh, the trip was great. Well, you know, it was a lot more than just great. And to be authentic and to give them a chance to at least, you know, experience some of it. You know, it's great to put them on, put the videos on YouTube and let them go and check for themselves. But as well, I wanted to thank you very much for your endurance and your patience, because you know, going out there, you know, just with the camera and the onboard microphone, and that's it, you know, left a lot to be desired as far as the audio quality is concerned. You know, I was certainly abundantly aware of it after editing the first day. I thought, geez, I don't know if this is even worth doing. But I decided to persevere and, you know, use some tools and learn a few things along the way to mitigate the audio and, you know, maybe try putting some captions down there, or just, you know, if I'm just yammering on, you know, just you know, mute out the audio altogether and just throw some music on top of it. So I think, you know, employing all of those mechanisms, you know, I think it turned out well. Anyways, that's for you to decide. So what I thought I'd do is maybe share with you some things that worked about the ride, and maybe, you know, talk about, you know, what I would have done differently. So to start, the bike. I Surly ECR. I had absolutely no problems with the bike whatsoever. Loved the bike. Highly recommended if you're looking for a good sturdy ride. Lots of mounting points on the fork, 6, 7, 8, I think 8 mounting points per fork blade. Amazing. So yeah, I was able to mount water bottle cages and salsa anything cages. With respect to you know, how I had the bike equipped, I ran a 1x12 Shimano XT drivetrain, 11 by 51 tooth in the back and 32 teeth in the front. That worked out really well. Never really found I was lacking any gearing, and as far as the top end is concerned, you know, if I had to pedal any faster than I could and the top gear, then chances are I was going downhill, and I didn't need to pedal anyways. So I thought it was perfect. Yeah, so just to run down very quickly, on the bike I had a Brooks B17 saddle. That worked out really well. The reason I like that so much is after I broke it in, I just found that I didn't need to wear padded shorts. And that was big for me because, you know, I just find padded shorts just get really nasty. You know, especially later in the day, they get wet, they get sweaty, it's chafing, and well, okay, I don't need to get into it. You know what I'm talking about. So I used, on handlebars, I used ergon grips. And I thought that they were quite nice because I didn't feel as much wrist pain and palm pain as I think I would have if I had just regular traditional grips. So that worked out well. As you know, I used the Tumbleweed mini pannier rear rack. The nice thing about that rack was that not only could you just put panniers on it, which is what I did eventually, but you can also mount, it had mounting points on it, so I could mount the Salsa Anything cages on it as well. So it gave me a lot of versatility, really strong rack, as long as you just make sure that you tighten down the bolts when you unbox your bike like I didn't too. I guess the only other thing that I'd recommend as far as the bike is concerned, and went really well, was the fact that I went with tubeless tires. The Vittoria Mezcal tires, I'm sure that any other good quality tubeless tire would perform the same way. But what I found really valuable was the tubeless aspect of it, because especially when I got down to southern Colorado and into New Mexico, there were so many goat heads everywhere. And even though I tried to not ride in areas where I had read that there were a lot of goat heads, if you're going to do the route, there are a lot of goat heads, and you're going to run over goat heads. If I had tube tires, I can't imagine how many flats I would have got. The reason I say that is, I came away from the ride thinking, geez, I didn't run into any goat heads because I didn't get any flats. I didn't have any problems. So I got the bike home, and I rode home from Toronto. Put the bike in the basement and just, left it and did my own thing. And a couple of weeks later, I go downstairs and I go to move the bike, and where the bottom of the tire was came to the top, and I noticed that there were all of these wet spots, and the floor wasn't wet, and there wasn't any sealant leaking out of the tires on the sides, and there was still quite a bit of tire pressure there. So I think the only thing that I can think of, and I haven't checked this because I haven't actually taken the tires off yet, but what I think happened was I ran over a lot of goat heads, and they got stuck in the tires. And over time, a little bit of sealant had leaked out. That's the only thing I can think of. But if that's the case, then, wow, I didn't get any flats at all. And also I've got tires with with souvenirs from the Great Divide mountain bike route in my tires. So, but anyways, suffice to say that the tubeless setup is the way to go if you're going to do this ride, or any bike packing, or anything, certainly down there where there's the goat heads, and the goat heads are everywhere, and you will run over them. One of the other things that worked on the bike was power grips. So if you don't know what power grips are, I didn't have clipped-in pedals. I just have really simple set, decent quality, but simple set of bicycle pedals. And power grips are just a really robust, heavy-duty material strap that goes from one side to the other, very similar to what you'd find at a health club if you go and ride one of their stationary bikes. But I found this system works really, really well. I've been using it for years. I've been sort of debating whether I should do a clipped-in setup, but that means buying extra pedals, buying special shoes, and then having to have cleats, and then having to get a pair of shoes to change into at the end of the day, because I'm not sure I'd want to be wearing those shoes when I'm off the bike at camp or walking around town or whatever it is. Well, I find the power grips are the best of both worlds. Certainly keeping my feet on the pedals, especially when I'm bumping, up and down on some of the really, really rough surfaces on the GDMBR, or just on trails in general, where my feet would pop off the pedals quite often, because that's just how it happens for me. So it allowed me to have my feet secured to the pedals. And at the same time, I could just wear my regular running shoes. And that's what I wore. I just wore running shoes. I didn't have special mountain bike shoes or anything like that. Just running shoes, and I brought a pair of Keen sandals that I wore on occasion as well. But these are just like everyday running shoes and whatever it is. So let's see. Okay, so I guess the last thing that I wanted to mention was, as far as gear is concerned and what worked, I brought a 2-person tent. Now, my tent is an MSR Hubba Hubba, and it's a little bit heavier than the 1-person tent, and certainly heavier than just a tarp and, doing some cowboy camping. But again, for me, the extra room in a 2-person tent meant that I was able to bring all my gear into the tent. And also, if I had to take a day off, as I've had to do in the past on other bicycle tours, and I just happened to be camping, spending the day in a 1-person tent is pretty cramped. But if you have a 2-person tent, the extra room makes all the difference in the world. It really does. So again, for me, I felt that the 2-person tent was definitely worth, carrying the extra weight. So that's that. Okay, so aside from the bicycle and the gear, and I'm not going to go through all of it, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the navigation and about the maps. So what I did is I ordered the full set of the Adventure Cycling Association's maps for the GDMBR, and although that's a thick set of maps, and if you're really cramped for space, it might be an issue for you. But if you can do it, I would highly suggest getting the maps. They're super detailed, tons of information, and really quite robust and waterproof. I had folded those maps every which way and stuffed them in my bag and then pulled them right back out again day after day after day. In addition, and I think this is crucial, either get the GPX files or use the Bicycle Navigation app. I think it's called the Bicycle Navigator. Anyways, so you get the app for free, but you can download the GPX files from the ACA site. A bit pricey. I think I paid close to a little over $100 Canadian for them, but again, proved invaluable. I used my iPhone for navigation, and so I just had the app going, and I had those maps loaded, and all I had to do was just follow the red line. And it worked out really, really well. I can't tell you how many times I got to a fork in the road where I thought, well, okay, left, right, and sometimes there's more than two ways to go. And if I didn't have the Navigator app, I might have taken the wrong turn and got myself lost or worse. And like I said, I used my iPhone for navigation. I struggled for the longest time. Should I get myself a Garmin? Should I get myself a Wahoo Element or whatever? And at the end of the day, I couldn't convince myself that spending $400 or $500 or more on a good GPS, and perhaps maybe somebody will comment by saying, "Oh, you can get a decent GPS for a lot less," and maybe that's the case. But I had an iPhone, brand new iPhone, and so I just decided to use it, and I think it worked out really well. The only issue, of course, was the battery life. With the dedicated GPS units, battery life, from what I understand, is much, much better, and preserves the battery on your iPhone or your device for other things. But for me, to compensate, what I did is I brought along three 10,000 milliamp battery packs. I could go at least 3 days, if not longer, without having to recharge the batteries. So, and I never felt that I was going to run out of power on my iPhone, as well as the camera. So anyways, that worked out well for me. Let's see, what else? So doing the research before going out on the ride, and I found that there was a service from a fellow by the name of Jeffrey Sharp, and he runs a service called the Bicycle Ranch or the Cycle Ranch or whatever in Hashida. And it costs a few bucks, and but it's definitely worth it. You go to his place in Hashida. He's got some outbuildings. He set us up with some cots. We had a barbecue that night with some beers and some hot dogs and hamburgers. And then the next morning we got up really early, and we left a lot of our gear there. And he took pictures and video of us as we were leaving his place, and he also followed us down, and at a couple of points stopped along the way to take pictures and take video of us. And then when we got down to the end, of course, he met us down there, took pictures of us and video of us finishing the ride. And he brought a trailer, and afterwards we just threw the bikes on the trailer. He drove us right back up to Hashida. He had some bike boxes there, and we loaded our bikes into the bike boxes and sealed them up, and then we threw them into the trailer, and he drove us out to Lordsburg, where we caught a bus to the Phoenix airport and got home. So that service worked out really, really well.